A man who needs no introduction in this room is Rafer Johnson. Rafer Johnson is one of my Olympic heroes and one of the best memories from LA84 games. He's a sports legend not only because he won silver and gold medals in the Olympic decathlon and lit the flame in 1984, but also because of his early involvement in Special Olympics, which included him founding California Special Olympics in 1969. Our other athlete, Dustin Plunkett, is a Special Olympics global messenger. He began in Special Olympics as an athlete in 1996 and now serves on the Special Olympics Southern California Board of Directors. If he looks familiar to you, it's because he was ESPN's analyst during the network's coverage of the 2015 World Games. He and Mr. Johnson will be interviewed by U.S. Olympian and soccer great Cobi Jones. Please give our panel a round of applause.
First off, I just want to say thank you for having me here, and thank you for you two allowing me to interview you. Both of you have absolutely fabulous stories, and I think myself and everybody here would love to hear what has gotten all of you involved in the Special Olympics. And if I could start off with you, Rafer, first off, why the Special Olympics after your career? What kept you going within sports but with the Special Olympics?
Well, I'll kind of tell you what started. Thank you, Cobi, by the way. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here. And what started was, as a high school athlete, it became very obvious to me that I was, maybe some of the achievements I was having was not solely because of my talent. Now, excuse me, I think we all kind of know that, and we know that we need certain talents, but we need to also do a lot of work. But it became so apparent that my achievements had something to do with my talents, but it had most to do with people who helped me. That's how I think I achieved to the level I did. I had coaches and parents and family and friends, classmates, teammates, all along my competitive career and in my life. People helped me, seemed to be just about the time you need someone to come across your path, give you a slap in the back, a little push. And so because of that, I always had this desire to give something back. And there were some other things I got involved in initially, but the thing that seemed to me to be a place where basically I could do what happened to me, people helped me my whole life, really. And I wanted a place where I could do the same, and Special Olympics became that place. And that's how I started. Yeah. And I'll tell you why I'm continuing after Dustin.
Okay, fair enough. That's good to know. Well, Dustin, please.
I got started by growing up in a youth sports program in the city of Lakewood. And at first I was approached about joining Special Olympics. I'm like, what is it? Who is it for? And then I got to meet the athletes. And that's where I noticed that they talk just like me. They got the same skills as me. So I'm like, hey guys, let's take a time out. And we're playing basketball at the time. And I'm like, why did you guys join Special Olympics? And all of them said, because it's a family. And me, I had a rough home life growing up. I was moved home to home, family member to family member, getting bullied every day in schools and all that, where Special Olympics became my family and my support system and pretty much built me into the person that I am today. And that's what I owe to Special Olympics, and that's why I give back so much.
One more question, and I'm going to have to paraphrase this one for you, Dustin, because I looked at some of your videos, and this was something very special and I thought touching, and it was every athlete has a story, and if you take the time to ask a Special Olympian what is special to you, well, I'm going to ask that, what's special to you about it now?
What's special about it is it gives us a chance to be somebody who we never dreamed about being before. Because whoever thought a shy young kid with an intellectual disability and a cleft palate would be an ESPN analyst? Thank you. Pat mentioned this earlier, but whoever thought that 8 athletes on the Nigerian basketball team could ever hear instructions from their coach? Special Olympics makes it same possible. It makes it possible for every single athlete with an intellectual disability, and that's why I always say that every athlete has a story. All it takes is 1 minute of your time, and you'll get that story, and that athlete's heart. And that athlete will remember you for the rest of their lives.
Thank you. And Rafer, let's go back to what you were talking about a little bit of, and I'm going to touch on this as an athlete. You have that passion, when you're competing. What's the passion that kept you going with Special Olympics?
Well, the passion that kept me going that has kept me involved in the Special Olympics is the same thing that kept me involved in sports. I really wanted to be the best I could be, and you just don't know what that is unless someone's watching you, filming you, talking to you, guiding you, and making changes so you can maybe move to that next level. When I met Mrs. Shriver in the very early days or the very beginning of the program, she had many of her friends together, and she spoke about what she wanted to achieve. Now, she's obviously, the people we met with, the leaders in this country and abroad, about what the program was to be. There was a lot of talk about, athletes competing, winning ribbons and gold medals and silver medal and some bronze medals. And Mrs. Shriver said there's one level that's even more important than that. And that is to provide the opportunity for the athlete not only to, win the awards, but also to move to a level where they think about being the best that they can be. And that's how I thought. And that's what the program started, and that's what the program does today. And that's what keeps me here, is to see so many people involved in such deep ways, and moving it right to yesterday, the 2015 games, and what they produced in this city, and in the minds of the athletes and moms and families and coaches throughout the world, is where we need to be. We're looking for the best that each of these athletes have, and they have now the platform to do just that. And I hope to be here to be a part of that.
And with that, you touched on it a little bit when you were talking about the athletes. How are the ambassadors involved, and how important are they as athletes, and then once they're done competing and giving back?
They're the voice of this program, and they're the ones we listen to now about even how we should proceed. What is the best for the athlete? What programs are more effective in terms of touching their lives in a very special way? What can they do, not just to win ribbons and medals, but what can they do to be the best that they can be? And I think Dustin is obviously an unbelievable example of what can happen both athletically, academically, and in basically anything he does in his life. Special Olympics has touched it in a very special way, and it really does make him a very special person.
Well, that's a perfect lead-in, Dustin. I mean, you're an ambassador now, and you've traveled all over the world. What was that change like, going from the competing aspect and then deciding, you know what, I'm going to give back, I'm going to give more, and be that global ambassador?
It was a really great experience for me, because I thought, my whole entire life, I was pretty much taught by every person that came in my life, whether it's a coach, whether it's a friend, whether it's a mentor. They always had the thing of that they always gave back. So I caught on to that at a very young age, where it's like I knew once my athletic career was done. I know I personally ended it before a lot of people would expect me to end it, because I really enjoyed giving back and being a spokesperson and helping other athletes to have a voice and find their voice so they can be ambassadors of the program and share their personal stories on why Special Olympics makes a difference in their lives. And it's just great. People see me going, okay, we have this person giving their personal story on how Special Olympics saved their life and all this. And they're like, well, Special Olympics may change my life, so how can I articulate that just as well as him? And now it's my chance to get back to them and teach them how to do that and really have more ambassadors to support Special Olympics in the movement.
We're going to talk about the ambassadors, but also, this can go for either one of you, whoever wants to go first, but like the volunteer aspect as well, those that are outside of the sport that are giving in. We saw a little bit in the last program talking about the importance of the volunteers that participate in the Special Olympics?
Volunteers are what makes it go. It's what makes all of the programs that are represented here today do the most effective job with the young men and women they're working with, and older men and women as well. It draws you in when you know that you are working with a group of volunteers who only want the best thing to happen for the participant. And that's true of everybody in this room. And I think the broader that level is, the more it affects the local community, the local program, and the international program. I'm going to tell a story, which I've told so many times. It's like, it's like a canned speech, but this is not. I have to tell this story because it really keeps me knowing why I'm here. We had some changeover in our program, and one of our board members went to Arizona as a director of the Special Olympics program. And he asked me if I'd come over for their state meet, which I agreed to do, and I went over. And one of the events included a young lady actually running in one of her first Olympic sort of, in a sense, state finals. And I saw the race start, and Pat asked me if I would make the presentation to the winners. And I was standing by the stands to do that, and when it came turn to present the medal, the gold medal to her, she just broke down. And that's nothing new because, Dustin broke down. I've seen him cry. I certainly broke down when I won the gold medal in Rome. So it's an emotion that you just don't control. It just happens. And she started crying. And she looked at a group of people along a fence just across the track. And she said, "Look, Mom, look, Dad, I won." And they started crying, which is not unusual either, because parents, they've been a part of this thing the whole time, and then they see a little improvement. This was an unbelievable improvement. She ran to the sound of a gun for the first time, and she won a gold medal. So I saw the interplay, and I asked the young lady if she'd take me over and introduce me to her family when we finished the ceremonies, which we did, and we started walking across the track. And we got to the track, and everybody embraced, including me. I jumped into it. And so I said to the mom, I said, this is special, but we see it happen a lot. And she said, well, in this case, when our daughter waved across the track and said, "Look, Mom, look, Dad, I won," those were the first words that they'd ever heard the daughter utter. "Look, Mom, look, Dad, I won." Again, I'm sure that many of us in this room by now and all these years, with the growth of Special Olympics and other programs that you now run, that's not unusual. But for me, it was the first time it happened. And I tell you, like everyone says, if you come out to the program, Special Olympics or some other program, and you see what happens in the competition, you see the reaction of the family, the coaches, the people who put the program together, then you realize the impact that it has not only on the athlete, but also on the siblings, the moms and dads, the uncles and aunts and friends and volunteers of Special Olympics. And it just seems that as far as we've come, I think that, as you heard from Pat and the panel before, it was and is an opportunity for us to launch programs, launch partnerships, and to, again, get to the basics of it is what can we do together to make the program the best for all of the participants. And like I said before, I'm here this morning, and I'll be here next year. Thank you.
And to you, Dustin, how important were those volunteers as you went through this whole process, even till today?
To me, the volunteers are the backbone of any organization. But in Special Olympics, our volunteers, our athletes, we call them heroes, because they're the ones that are heroes to us athletes. They are the ones that make the competitions possible for us. They're the ones that come out and officiate competitions. They're the ones that come out and scorekeep for us, be our friends, and talk to us after the competition and everything. They're the heroes because they're the ones that are making a difference in our lives. And like the story that Rafer just told, that's one of my favorite stories of hearing that athlete. Our volunteers get to witness that and be near those stories every time they happen. And that's why our volunteers get a lot more out of the organization and what they put in. I'm pretty sure that's the same across every organization that's here today.
Well, I was thinking I was going to go to questions, but I still got one more question for both of you. First, because I just want to know your impressions of the 2015 World Games. I know I saw you out on the fields at UCLA, fellow Bruin, by the way, but had to get that in there. But both of your impressions of the whole process and just the event itself.
Well, Cobi, thanks for saying that I was a Bruin. When I get this far from UCLA, I don't talk about it. What was the question?
Your impressions of the games.
I was totally from the opening ceremonies to the closing ceremonies. I mean, I think I was inspired every single day for one reason or another, from something that came from a performance by the athlete, from something that happened from the part of those people who were covering the games and wanted to be sure that the message was there in a different way than it ever had been, and that was, of course, ESPN. For the fact that there's so many representatives from all the countries who came, had a little different feel for what was happening, what had happened with them in their countries, and they saw in this opportunity just a true personal explosive feeling that what they had at home was going to be altered in the most positive way with what was going on here in LA. And I think the world had the opportunity to see what it means when there's a focus and how you use that focus to draw in more volunteers, to draw in more support, and maybe push the program, as I said before, to a little different level. And I think that's happened. I think the publicity had really let not just LA and the United States know, but the world know the importance of individual involvement, the importance of gathering together and making it possible for the leadership not to be searching for opportunities to make it better, but they would have the knowledge and would know, in a sense, from what they've seen and heard, how they could get more involved to include a larger number of intellectually disabled citizens. And so I was inspired from the very beginning. It's like most all say, you go and when you see it, that's when you get the full effect of it. And I got the full effect of the importance of Special Olympics again, and the reason why we should all work even harder to make it possible for every intellectually disabled citizen to have the opportunity to have the knowledge that Dustin has for volunteers to have the opportunity that I have, and for sponsors to have the opportunity to know what kind of assistance is needed to make the program all it can be. That's a long answer to that. wasn't it?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
We got time. And Dustin, being part of the organizing committee, I mean, this had to have a bit of a special place, seeing this from start to finish.
Oh, it definitely was. It was a thing that I knew was a tall task, and I knew it would be a long process and everything to get through everything. But I always go into the games with no expectations, because if you go into expecting and like not high standards, oh, I'm gonna be blown away here, I'm gonna be blown away here, you're gonna be let down if we don't meet those expectations. So I always approach it with a no expectation, like where I was blown away myself from looking at it from an insider's point of view, seeing the amount of people that we had there in the festivals, in the stands at every single stadium was just, I was in awe, because these were my fourth World Games, and the ones that I went to in the past, the stands were barely even half full. Any venue that I went to. Every venue I went through here, whether it's Galen Center, maxed out, whether it's Loker Stadium, maxed out, the Convention Center, we had that rocking in like 4 different venues there. 4 of the 5 venues there was just rocking. That's like handball. Whoever thought people in Los Angeles would know what team handball is, and it's like that was a rocking venue there. It was like maxed out every single day. Everybody was like having a party over there, just having fun. But then what made it really unique is the athletes were in the stands too, cheering on their fellow athletes, with the spectators watching, and it's so much that they just teamed up to cheer on all the athletes, not just their teammates, but they were cheering on the other team too. It was just like amazing to see how much of a change that we made, and how much the community really accepted people with disabilities in their lives and all that. Just to see the change in the community was my greatest reward of the games.
Thank you. So with that, now I will let the audience partake. I'm sure there has to be some questions out there. Does anybody have a question? Well, this is a bit surprising. Did we cover everything out there? Okay, we have one in the way back.
I'm loud.
Okay.
Because I was just up on the panel.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Dustin. Okay, so now that you've been an ESPN analyst, what are your future goals?
It's funny, I get asked that quite a lot. And I, quite frankly, I'm kind of the person that wants to do a lot more. I want to give back a lot more and make a change and all that, because I really didn't know how big of a change that I was making for people with intellectual disabilities, like being on ESPN and all that. Then it took me 3 days into the game to realize how much of a change I was truly making in everybody's lives. And I'm like, the only way I can do that again is to work on another event, or to be a part of the ESPN broadcast team again, or to get back in a different way into special Olympics, whether it's on a GOC, whether it's staying here locally, which I'm employed by SOSC right now. I'm working and engaging the sponsor to get them become more involved and more active here in our local program and all that. So just probably staying in the special Olympics role will probably be my career move to make a difference for people.
Thank you. Yeah, question over here.
Of course. Way over here. I don't have to get there, but we
Oh, yeah.
Hi, this is a question for Dustin. Dustin, what happens when the athletes from America go back to their own community, or the athletes from other countries go back to their own countries? Is there follow-up with their parents, or do they take on mentorship relationships with younger disabled kids in their respective communities?
Quite frankly, it just depends on the athlete and the community there and how well versed it is on Special Olympics. Because Special Olympics Ireland, they hosted the games in 2003 in Dublin, and they were welcomed by thousands of people in their airport when they landed there, and they're walking through with medals there. They're treated like superstars and all that. Just right there, people stopped their daily lives to welcome home the Ireland team there. It's just like, it just depends on what countries and how supportive they are behind their program. I'm pretty sure it's different anywhere in the world. I'm pretty sure ours here in Southern California are treated like rock stars in their own community, where they're now role models to their younger teammates and really want to help out and teach their younger teammates on how to get to the level where they're at or get to a World Games and everything.
Any more questions for Rafer or Dustin?
I might just tag just a little bit onto
Feel free.
that question. And Dustin gave you the answer, but you might remember that it was just a few years ago, and not that many, where some countries in the world said they didn't even have intellectually disabled citizens. So what kind of help do you think they were going to get if they couldn't even declare or be helped by the country they're from or the city they're from? Well, I guarantee you, I would think that is one thing that is that certainly will come out of these games, is that this program needs to be, there isn't a country in the world who doesn't have an intellectually disabled citizen. So the local citizenry is not going to take that anymore by just someone in an official capacity saying we don't have people that we can even help in this category. So it's things like that when you bring over 100 nations, almost 200 together to compete, to talk, and you see, then you're going to know that pretty much we all need to be involved in some activity like this, no matter where we're from.
One second, we have a question in the back.
I want Dustin to speak toward our athlete leadership program because he's the beneficiary of it that we've started several years ago. Dustin, will you comment about the athlete leadership program that we have?
Sure. Our athlete leadership program teaches our athletes to become a valued member of the Special Olympics team, whether it's a goal messenger going out and sharing your personal story on how Special Olympics changed your life to the whole community, or giving us a chance to become a official, or giving us a chance to become a volunteer, or to sit on the board of directors, or to sit on a committee of an event. Our athlete leadership program is training for life for our athletes, whether it's in the technology field or the health field or the giving back field or the speaking field or employment field. For me, giving me many opportunities to have different jobs in my life. All this was learned through athlete leadership program, which helped me find my voice, to stand up and put it into the bullying I faced growing up, to stand up and put it into everything that our athletes hear, whether it's the R word or different slurs and things that they hear on an every single day basis. That's what our athlete leadership program is. It teaches our athletes to find their voice and speak up and make a difference in their community.
What did you do in Florida?
In Florida, I was there helping train our athlete leaders to become better speakers in their organization and all that. And one of the subjects that they told me to talk on was, the one that I really want to talk on was roadblocks and barriers. Because our athletes, they face the most roadblocks and the most barriers by everybody in every single day lives, where they were like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't design the uniforms. No, you can't run a 100-meter in 6 seconds. And I told their athletes 2 words in that time frame during that training. I'm like, watch me. If you tell people that, if you tell a person that, and the person tells you that you can't volunteer, just say, watch me. Go out there and prove them wrong, because you have the ability to set your own standards. And that's what I taught them there in Florida.
Last question.
Hi, Clayton from Angel City Sports. Thank you guys for being here. Really an inspiration for me. I'm involved in the Paralympic movement and the parasport movement. From your experiences with Special Olympics as athlete, volunteer, and leaders, what can the Paralympic movement or the parasport movement learn from all the success of Special Olympics?
Wow. Well, I know personally that the Paralympics really got a lot out of it because ESPN also hired a Paralympian to help with the broadcast team, Victoria Arlen. And one of the things that I learned from her is she has a slogan called "Rock Your Disability," and it's like I picked this up like our athletes and Special Olympics should be doing the same thing. So I feel that through the Paralympians, like them and Special Olympic athletes can learn from each other and grow together and make a difference in both organizations, whether it's finding sponsors or finding volunteers to give back to both organizations. I feel we can do a lot of work together where we can learn from each other and all that. And our athletes, I'm pretty sure, open their eyes to more things that they ever thought would be possible and all that.
Well, that's the answer. But I think Dustin, and he wouldn't say this, but I can. Dustin is the point person for Special Olympics. They make calls now to the office, may I speak to Dustin? Okay. They've heard him talk, they've seen him perform, they've seen the results of his hard work, both as an athlete, as a volunteer, and an employee, really, a volunteer at the top level. So whenever Dustin now comes in contact with the Special Olympics community, it's a family, as Dustin said, and Dustin's one of the first people that the athletes talk to because they know Dustin has been through the system, knows how it works, and appreciates in their own minds, I suspect, how this young man has progressed through the whole system. And in your question, I think that we're probably all at the same position at one time or another, trying to let the world know what you already know in terms of the possibility for athletics and sports and what they are and how the season is run and all that. And I think I agree with Dustin, it's an education. It's a process we all seem to have to go through. And you certainly have representatives who are now your voices. And I certainly believe that that level of participation and involvement, your program has to grow. It's just, it's a natural process. And it's something we all are still learning. We should already be there, but we are all learning that different parts of our population are involved in building their lives different ways and are looking for opportunities to be the best they can be in class and sports and work. And we all need to look at this information and see how we can make it work best for everyone. And I suspect that you're well along that way. I know you are well along that way, and it's just a matter of educating those who don't know.
First off, for myself, I'd like to say it truly has been an honor to be up on stage with the both of you, and we appreciate the both of you taking the time to have a little glimpse into your lives and into Special Olympics. So, round of applause. Thank you very much.
I want to thank Cobi for just being here with us as well. Both Dustin and I are looking forward to how to kick the soccer ball.
Before we take our break, I would like, this is a little off script, but I would like Dustin and Rafer, if you could show us that victory pose again. We could all stand up as we take our break.
I'll let Dustin, you take us
And
through
on
it,
the count
Dustin.
of three, Dustin, take us through it.
Let's track the pose.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. You got it.
And we'll take a break for the next 15 minutes. Please be back by 11:45.